Hello, everyone. I'm truly excited today on the new episode. I have with me an entrepreneur, a hybrid filmmaker, a writer, a producer, and in fact, today his hybrid film, The Test Subject 5, is releasing, on Geo Hotstar. So this is something everyone I request to watch. It's going to change your perspective to life. I want to welcome the one and only Mr. Kunal Avanti on the new episode. Hi, Kunal. Truly an
Hey,
honor
buddy.
and privilege to have you today on this candid chat with me.
Well, it's an honor for me. This is actually my first podcast for this film. Well, it's my second podcast for this film, and I'm truly excited. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Okay, great. So to begin with, Kunal, I want to start, if someone had to describe you in 3 words, what would that be? And what would it be if your family had to describe you?
Oh, family would be, sorry, excuse me. The family would be, they'd, they'd say crazy things. Unpredictable,
Okay.
would be definitely one of them. Unfiltered would be the second one. And I would say uh, just wild. Those are the three things that would they possibly say. All of them actually. That would be like a collective consensus.
Okay. And I want to know, before the hybrid film became a reality, was there a biggest question you were trying to, answer yourself?
I think that the the would I possibly be able to do it as a newcomer who didn't know anything about film? I'm an events guy.
Right.
I've been doing events for 18, 19 years, and that's kind of all I knew. Of course, I had a huge love for film, and when I was younger, I wanted to go to film school. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to go to the school that I wanted at that time, and life just takes over, and then responsibilities, and um, I. I couldn't get to study it, but I always knew that, film is a huge passion of mine, film and music and storytelling and stuff like that. And of course, music is a huge critical point of storytelling, especially in film. So the question is that, I started out on a PowerPoint presentation and I had this idea for a film. And I didn't know the biggest question I think was this ever even going to see the light of day? It started out as a passion project, and it's not a typical Bollywood film. It's not a typical. It's a hybrid feature, so it's one of a kind. So I wanted, I didn't know if it was going to see the light of day and how it's going to be received. To be honest, because we've taken some really bold directions here in terms of the way we've told the story. Yeah.
And was there a particular defining moment, that it became intentional to you, on making choices every day that you make?
You mean personally?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, without giving away too much of the film, you've been living a certain way your whole life, and it's kind of a generational programming that I think that we all go through. It's conditioning. You're so conditioned to believe one thing, or you're just one way of life. Whether it's your parents, and it's not their fault. They've been conditioned a certain way as well. The grandparents, not their fault. The doctors, the nutritionists, the school books, the textbooks in school, it's all saying one thing. And when you suddenly start to question, I was something came to light for me. I found something, right? And it's mentioned in the film. I found something, then that one thing led me down like, a wormhole of sorts. It just opened up a whole new world of information. And then I started to question everything.
Mhm.
So that one thing that I found, which I'm not going to tell you about over here, um, it just it woke me up. It happened overnight, and then the one thing that I took everything for granted, right? I said, okay, fine, this is what I've been told, this is probably the right way, this is what I've been taught, so obviously that's the right way, this is what the school books are saying, so it's my doctor is this. And then that one awakening, just holy shit, people can be wrong. And since then, I've just started questioning everything and doing my own research. And I think that's the message in the film is to just stay curious,
Right.
and ask the right questions and do your own research and don't take anything for granted. So that for me was that defining moment, that when I saw that one thing and I came across that one thing, and it was a light bulb went onto my head in a very strong way. And since then, I don't take anything for granted.
You know what, just looking at you know, it just reflects my story because I had type 2 diabetes, which I reversed, and I was 106 kgs and I lost 30 kgs in a span of 8 months. So I was really dedicated to what I was doing, you know. So I can totally relate to the journey you must have had also. So,
That's incredible, man. Congratulations on reversing it.
thank you.
I know it's tough. It's not easy,
Yes,
and
yeah, it's
you
not
keep
easy.
telling
Yeah.
people don't understand what goes into it, and it's more than just a physical thing. It's a mental thing. So that's something I understand, and respect to you, man. That's amazing.
Acha, I want to know also, you know, do you believe, you know, empathy is something we are born with or something, you know, it's cultivated through experiences?
I think that we're all born with empathy, and yes, of course, the nature in which we're brought up kind of helps develop it, or kind of um, helps us, or makes us disconnect from the concept of empathy. And I don't want to get too graphic about it. So let's say, let's say for the concept of animals, and there was this is great activist called Gary Yurovsky, that I'd like to quote sometimes, but I'll try and do it in my own way. I'm not as eloquent as him, unfortunately. So they say that you put you have a baby who's in a crib, and you take an apple, and you take a rabbit, you put a bunny rabbit and both of them in front of him. He's not going to play with the apple and eat the bunny rabbit. He's going to naturally, play with the bunny rabbit, and have feelings for the bunny rabbit, and just develop a relationship, because that's compassion, that's connection, and of course empathy is related to that. So I think that natural instincts from the time we're born include a sense of empathy. I hope that was a relevant connection to make, but I truly believe that we're a relevant example. I truly believe that we're born with empathy and we're born with compassion, and somewhere along the line we just get disconnected, and it has a lot to do with our upbringing, the environment. Similarly, if you take that same young boy, he's grown up in a house that's suddenly disconnected, and he goes through a harsh circumstance. His family is going through turbulent times financially, etc. He ends up working the worst job you could ever think of, unfortunately, in a slaughterhouse, right? Over time, he's conditioned to, see all of these animals. And he's in the beginning, he's like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But years of hardening up, right? Because of the environment, these are just pieces, objects in front of him. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry for being graphic,
No, no.
but it's the easiest way, and it has so much to do with the environment, and it's important for us to stay connected to our compassionate side, and stay connected to what is actually right or wrong. And I feel bad for people who are brought, are forced into these circumstances, because whether it's lack of education, whether it's lack of you know, finances, or just lack of having the right people surround you and be around in your circles. It's unfortunate, but they can't be blamed either.
Okay.
You know?
You know, today's a big day. You know, officially it's premiering on Geo Hotstar. You know, the test subject 5. I also again urge people to watch it. It's going to change your perspective, as I said earlier. But I want to know, you know, what is that one thing without giving too much away from the film, you know, that you want audience to experience when they watch it?
Um, So I'm just going to correct you. I know this is a huge misconception, and I knew when we were making the film, the name and the logo, it's going to come out like this. It's actually test subject V, which looks
Okay.
like the Roman letter 5.
Okay.
That's the whole thing, and And yeah, so it's V, that's one. And the objective for us, Sid, was to, ha to have people when they, when they end the film, we want them to kind of stay curious and inspire them to stay curious and to ask questions and not take things for granted. Obviously, the main objective at the core is to inspire compassion, towards humans, towards animals. We dive a lot into the subject of diabetes, in fact, and heart disease and different diseases. And so we want people to kind of look into that part of it as well. But we made it in a very fun way. It's not a typical documentary. The idea is to keep people engaged through and through. It's designed for an Indian audience. But yes, the main goals are to inspire compassion and to inspire people to become truly the best versions of themselves, which
Right.
everyone is capable of. And we just need to waken that up in people. And I hope this film does that.
Right. Normally, when we talk about fitness, especially today, the people are only talking about six packs and, uh, so I want to know, what does fitness now mean to you, in your entire journey when we talk about fitness? And this message also I
Wow.
want to talk about to the younger generation and the future generation also, what is fitness now according to you?
I think that's a quite a profound question. Without getting too deep into it, I'm 44 now. Of course, my idea and concept of fitness has changed over the years, and as you rightly said, the six pack uh,
Yeah.
is something that we all chase when we're younger, and because it's aesthetics at the end of the day. A lot of people do. I didn't know that, and I've had that, right? I've been through that whole thing. A lot of people don't know that everyone has a six pack already. It's just hidden under fat. So the lesser body fat percent, as you know, as you have, the more visible it is. But it's all there. That it's a muscle group,
Mm.
right? So just like your biceps, if you lose weight or lose fat, you will see the nerves, you will see the muscles pop a little bit more. So it's always there. But for me, I was chasing that whole six pack, and sometimes when you do it, you don't feel good. You have to make sure that your body is strong at the same time while having the six pack. So for me, yes, aesthetically, there's different ways. So you can just get extremely ripped. You can go down to your 9, 8, 7, 6% body fat,
Mm.
right? But if you're not doing it the correct way, but you're gonna feel like crap, right? So my perception of this whole thing has changed. I now want to chase real strength. I don't want to have injuries.
Yeah.
Because if you go to extreme, those are the few things that you're gonna lose out on muscle mass, you're gonna lose out on strength. You're gonna train very differently if you're just going for the aesthetic. I'm not going for the aesthetic anymore. Of course, aesthetic is always a bonus. I don't want to look bad. I want to look good. I don't think that will ever die in
Yeah.
me. But I want to be injury free. I want to feel strong. I want to I want to listen to my body more with the foods that I eat. They've started talking to me, and I'm paying attention, which I never was anymore. So for me, all these things contribute to fitness. And of course, one thing that we all kind of shy away from, or even shy away from talking about, is mental fitness. There are times where, you have to embrace that you're human and you're not Superman and you're not macho and man all the time. And, you get depressed. You feel you have shitty days, you feel lonely, you feel tired, you feel like no one understands you. So I think, understanding who you really are and coming to that point where you've understood these different parts of you and how to kind of repair and fix and be stronger on all those aspects as well, not just with your body, with your mind. That for me is fitness today. And that's just my personal opinion, of
Oh, and I
course.
couldn't agree more with you. I think word by word, what you're saying is like totally making sense, and I'm sure everyone can resonate, what you're saying. So I couldn't agree more with you. Also, I want to know if someone wanted to, become more compassionate, towards themselves, animals, and the planet, where would they begin, according to you?
I think it's to kind of erase this imaginary line that we have, which I was fortunate enough to be shown, because we forget we're so disconnected. There's an imaginary line between our pets at home, which
Yeah,
are cute dogs and our cats,
yeah,
and the other animals, which is unfortunately the ones that we put in cages or the ones that we test on or the
Yeah.
ones that we eat on our plate. And once you realize, and I've had I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky, I mean that when I say that I was shown this and it was slapped onto my brain a little earlier, was that there's no difference, man. There's absolutely no difference. There's a pig, that I've been a huge fan of bacon all my life. I would make fun of vegetarians. I was
Right.
that guy,
Right.
and I'd be like, hey, you know what, but bacon, man, come on, bacon. I was that idiot. And we've all been there, and some of us are still there. I have my best friends who, still consume animals. And I think it's when you look at these animals, and I've been fortunate enough to spend time with them, whether it's in a sanctuary or my friends' farms, where a pig will come up wagging its tail 2.5 times statistically smarter than a dog. That's what a pig is.
Okay. Okay.
Chickens, hens are as emotionally intelligent or as, in some way smarter than your dogs or cats.
Right.
And when you see them interact with humans that actually take care of them, you will see love, you will see bonds with these animals, not just with humans, but also with their fellow other animals.
Right.
So it's for me, I think you start with understanding that there is an imaginary line, that we've been forced to believe that these are animals. So you can love animals, some of them, and some of them you can stab, test on, consume or wear as belts or have your wallets out of. So I think you start there by understanding that there is another way and that what you've been taught so far, it's time to kind of unlearn and question things yourself. That's it. And everyone goes through it. So don't feel bad that you've done it so far, right? It's time to just, sit back, take a deep breath, and question. And that's what first step should be.
Do you want to share something, behind the scenes, from the moment making test subject V? Some funny moments that you shared.
My gosh, there
I'm sure there must
were.
be many.
Yeah, I mean, there was this one point I'll just talk about, and it was we shot across India, and one of the places we were fortunate enough to go visit and shoot at was this beautiful place in Ladakh, in Leh, where we went to, interview the incredible, the legendary Kuntal Joysher, who is this crazy mountaineer athlete, a plant-based athlete who's been plant-based for over 20, 25 years,
Okay.
ripped and shredded, and just like a gem of a dude, man, just like a really cool guy. And and he said, look, if you want to meet me, I'm in Ladakh, I'm on this mountain, you got to come here. So the team and I traveled. Of course, there's no direct flight. You have to stop in Delhi overnight, and then you have to get to Leh. And then from there, you climb up and you have to take time to acclimatize. So you take 24 to 48 to 72 hours to acclimatize to that altitude first in Leh at that level before you climb up to go any higher, right? And we obviously being heroes, my crew and I sold the director of the film, and the DOP and a bunch of others, two DOPs. We have gone up that same evening to because the weather was great and we had this beautiful location where it's a salt lake where literally I've never seen anything like it. Maybe you have in the past, maybe the audience has, but the reflection of the sky, the mountains is bang on in front of you on the lake, and it was just like a mirror. It was the most stunning location, and we went there. We were totally fine, and then this was about 4,500 meters up, and we weren't even acclimatized to Leh yet, and it was my first time in Ladakh. So we went up that same day, and we suddenly started feeling a little woozy. And next thing I'm just looking at my DOP Shrey, who's like, "Hey, just hold this camera for a second." And we took the camera, and boom, he just collapsed. It's funny now, but it was scary back then, man. He's just fallen down. I'm like, dude, what happened to you? And the next thing you know, like I am feeling like woozy, and I am unable to climb anymore, and I have collapsed. And what happened? It's funny now, trust me, but back then it wasn't funny. We had I developed hypoxia, so I had to be like taken to a hospital. Like I had to stop shooting, and like the whole crew was there. And Kuntal is like, I wanted to look cool in front of Kuntal, because he's like a proper legend. And here's this fat ass, really out of shape, out of control, unable to talk, unable to do the interview, and we just had to stop filming. Yeah, so just a lot of crazy things. We were in Chandigarh, and we were interviewing actual Kushti Pelwans,
Okay.
from back in the day, the ancient Pelwans. The same techniques and all of that. We found like a legit school, and at the end of it, and we didn't show this in the film. Actually, we do show it in the credits bit, but I actually tried to wrestle one of them, and I got my ass thrashed,
Okay.
like thrashed. It was embarrassing. They put you in one of those langots,
Okay.
first of all, and these guys are just like wailing on you, man. And it's like it was bad, but it was funny. It was a lot of fun.
Great. Okay, now this comes to the fun segment. This is a rapid fire round just to know you more personally. So quick answers from your side. Um, Morning workout or evening workout?
Morning.
Okay. Strength training or cardio?
Strength training.
Okay.
I
Mountains or
can't say
beaches?
both. I mean, they're both important, but strength training first.
Okay. Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Books or
Beaches.
podcasts?
Beaches. Beaches. I take that
Okay.
back.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
You better say that you're doing one with me right now.
I was
Okay.
actually thinking audiobooks. I'm not much of a reader, but I really enjoy podcasts.
Okay. Science or music?
Music.
Okay. If your hybrid film could start one meaningful conversation in every household, what would you want the conversation to be?
Um, okay, rapid, better think fast. I would want parents, and this is a tough one, man. I would want parents to start being honest to their children about where their food comes from.
Right. Okay.
It's a small thing, but it's such an important thing. I
Mm.
grew up believing and telling, a lot of people, I literally grew up until my late teens or even later that, some food just comes from the trees, because you switch that, it's cognitive dissonance, you shove it under a rug because, your parents don't tell you because they don't want you to feel bad, but they feel that you need this.
Okay.
You need the protein, you need this, you need the calcium, you need all of that. But it's not true. We've proved it time and time over again. It's out there, and it shapes your child. It shapes your child, and I believe that if we are able to kind of integrate compassion, in these conversations and teach them, and then give them the choice, you know, but be honest, and then let them make their own choice because they deserve that choice. Children are inherently beautiful, compassionate souls, man, and let's not mold them into the ways of our world and our crazy world let them make these
Yeah.
choices. I think that's a conversation I would like to have.
Okay. Complete the sentence. The greatest transformation isn't changing your body, it's changing.
Oh God. There's a less cliched way to say this, but it's opening your heart.
Okay.
It's opening your mind and not changing your mind, but just opening your mind.
Okay.
Opening your mind to knowing that there are other ways, there is another way, and there are people doing it. And just opening your heart to compassion and letting that guide you in
Yeah.
sometimes in places like this. So it starts from there. It starts in your head, it starts in your heart, and it's only when you are really ready, that's when you'll take on the transformation. Anyone can go to the gym,
Right.
anyone can do what I did, anyone can do that, man, but a real transformation begins when it comes from here, and that's a lasting one
Right.
because you just see it differently, you feel it
Okay.
differently.
Real strength isn't measured by muscle alone, it's measured by.
Heart.
Okay.
It's measured by heart. How much you can take, how much you keep giving back, and how much you're able to withstand. I mean, you have to get up every single day, and the only thing that gets you going is heart.
Okay. What does living with purpose, compassion, and strength truly mean to Kunal Avanti?
Living purpose, compassion, and strength. It's everything now. It's shaped who I am. I was drifting through my life aimlessly, like a didn't know where I was going. And I'm lucky that I found my purpose, which I strongly believe is now helping people make the connection and live more compassionately and more consciously. And it's kind of shaping who I am. It's shaping the reason for me to get up and go to the gym. It's the reason for me to create films or create stories, and it's creative satisfaction for me as well. So purpose, without that purpose, I wouldn't be anywhere. I'd just be walking around cluelessly, right? So that's what it kind of means to me.
Okay. Today, if you had your younger self with you, across the table, what is that one message you'd like to tell him?
Don't do drugs, man.
Okay.
I mean, I mean that just don't waste your time, not just don't waste your time. Have your fun, but get get the program and dive in a lot earlier than I did. I was a late bloomer in many um, aspects of my life, and if I had another 10 years, I would be in a different place right now. So wake up, have your fun, uh, but don't linger around there. Just dive into action as soon as possible. Don't waste too much time. All of that shit can wait.
Okay.
The parties, the women, the everything,
Right.
so put yourself first and give yourself that respect.
Okay.
And you got to look out for number one sooner.
Okay. And my last rapid fire would be, if you were given one superpower, how would you use it?
Damn, I really didn't look at these questions. One superpower. I guess that if I have to be honest, to eat and drink as much as I would like, and just stay stay in the best shape of my life. It's not the ones about, wanting to fly. Food is a huge thing for me, man, and I love food so much. I live for food, and even no matter how much my lifestyle or my diet has changed, the food that I eat is still incredible, and I'm proud of that. But I just want more of it. I love my food, so I guess it would be that. Since this documentary and this film is about food,
Yeah.
I thought I'd leave it there.
Okay, and my last question of the podcast, a lot of people, they want quick results, especially, they think that everything is so easy and, they just see success, but they don't see the hustle behind the success, So I want to know, from your side, a proper message to the youngsters watching us, or the people who are watching us today, from your side, what is that one positive message you'd like to tell them?
From the okay, you can do it overnight, but it's not going to last. It's not going to last. So you can do the extreme stuff. You can take all these pills that people are taking these days, or your
Yeah,
Ozempic,
right.
and all of that stuff. You can do that. It's not going to last, and you're not going to feel. You're going to feel like shit physically, and you're not going to be happy and proud of yourself if you do it that way. So put in the work. It's not going to take that much time. You just really, really need to disappear for some time and put everything else on hold, because you will come back if you give yourself these 6, 8 months, even a year, depending on what your results or what your goals are. If you put in the work, if you get enough sleep, if you eat correctly, everyone says that it's literally 20% the workout or 80% the food,
Yeah.
and getting into that ninja mindset. Find a way to get into that ninja mindset, man, and just do it for yourself. Because the minute you come back, no matter how long you take, you're going to come back like such a badass. You're going to be so much, you're going to make up for all that lost time plus 10 or 100, because
Yeah.
that's how good you're going to feel. You're going to like take over the world, man. So that's my only advice, is that put in the work now. Don't stall it anymore. Get up today. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for anything. Just get up and start moving. Everything else will fall into place. Start now. Tomorrow, forget anyone coming to help you, forget the right time, forget anything else. Just get up and freaking move. That's it.
Thank you so much. That's so inspiring, Kunal, especially coming from you today. First of all, before I end it, thank you so much for giving the time to do this with me, buddy. And wishing you all the very best on the success of your hybrid film, which is releasing today. Once again, I'm telling everyone it's releasing on Geo Hotstar today. Test Subject V, and
Yeah,
look forward to watching it myself and get more inspired. So, thank you once again, Kunal. And I'll hope to see you
appreciate
on the
it.
other side really soon, man. Whenever I'm in the Bay, we'll definitely catch up and we'll
Like,
connect, man.
likewise, brother. Thank you so much, Siddhant. It's been a pleasure. And yes, everyone, please go watch the film, and I promise you, you'll enjoy it. Let us know what you think. We're always open for feedback. And yes, please watch the film. Let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy it, man. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Okay, bro.